Also, Americans should know that if they start a war, this time it will be a regional war. After Khamenei's warning of a regional war, is Washington now staring at its most dangerous Middle East scenario yet, one where every US base becomes a potential flashpoint? For the second time in weeks, American troops are being pulled back from the Middle East. A New York Times report reveals that hundreds of US soldiers have quietly been evacuated from Gulf bases. And it's not just America. NATO forces too are being secretly repositioned from key Middle East locations. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump extended the deal deadline, only to instruct the army to take cover immediately after. For the second time in just a matter of weeks, reports of large-scale US troop movements out of the Middle East have sparked alarm bells, signaling renewed concerns that the region may once again be edging toward open conflict. The reported withdrawals from America's key Gulf bases came at a tense moment, right when Iran is ramping up its rhetoric, warning that any provocation could ignite a full-scale regional war. The New York Times has reported that hundreds of American troops were quietly flown out of the Udeid air base in Qatar, a key hub for US operations across the Middle East. The same report also pointed to similar evacuation activity at American bases in Bahrain, where the US Navy's Fifth Fleet plays a crucial role in maintaining security across Gulf waters. Quoting unnamed Pentagon officials, the report suggested the evacuation orders were given as a precaution, amid growing fears that Iranian forces could be plotting retaliatory strikes. But with conflicting accounts emerging from different corners of the US administration, confusion has mounted over whether these troop movements were part of a planned repositioning or something far more urgent. Later, however, Fox News quoted a US official completely denying the claims, insisting there had been no mass evacuation order from Gulf bases and calling earlier reports mischaracterized and exaggerated. A senior official told Fox News, the US has not evacuated hundreds of US troops from Udeid Air Base in Qatar, nor has it evacuated bases in Bahrain, home to the US Fifth Fleet. Soon after the US moves, a key NATO ally announced that it too was relocating around 60 of its soldiers stationed across the Middle East, reflecting rising unease over the volatile security situation. Norway confirmed that its troops, who had been involved in training local military forces, were being repositioned as a purely precautionary measure prompted by growing security concerns. However, Oslo declined to share specific details, refusing to say exactly how many soldiers were moved or from which Middle Eastern bases the relocation took place. The timing of the move coincided with US President Donald Trump issuing a stern warning to Iran, giving it a 10 to 15-day deadline to accept a deal or face serious consequences. In response, Iran's supreme leader declared that any attack on Iranian territory would be met with direct strikes on American military bases spread across the region. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei went a step further, cautioning that a single US strike could set off a full-fledged regional war, threatening to engulf the entire Middle East in conflict.
When you hear them talking about war, saying things like, we'll come with this plane or that plane and do this or that, it's nothing new. The Americans have threatened us repeatedly in the past, saying all options are on the table, which includes the option of war. They've always said these things. Similarly, this person, Donald Trump, constantly claims they brought warships. But the Iranian nation shall not be intimidated by these things. The Iranian people will not be stirred by these threats. They do not fear fair confrontation. We are not the initiators and do not want to attack any country, but the Iranian nation will strike a strong blow against anyone who attacks and harasses them. God is great. Khamenei is the supreme leader. Death to those against the supreme leader. Death to America. Death to England. Death to the infidel hypocrites. Also, Americans should know that if they start a war, this time it will be a regional war.
In January 2026, as speculation grew that former President Donald Trump was considering direct military action against Iran, several US troops in the Middle East were reportedly told to prepare for withdrawal from select bases. According to US diplomats speaking with Reuters on January 13th, some military personnel stationed at Qatar's Udeid airbase had been advised to temporarily leave the facility. However, one American diplomat clarified to Reuters that the directive was not an official evacuation, describing it instead as a posture change, a routine measure in response to rising tension. The advisory came amid several unconfirmed reports suggesting Trump might authorize a strike against Iran as early as January 14th, raising regional alert levels. Later, when a second round of reported troop movements was observed at both Udeid and Bahrain's 5th Fleet base, it again coincided with fears that Washington was moving closer to a potential military confrontation. Multiple intelligence and media reports have since speculated that Trump could be preparing to authorize a strike on Iran over the February 21st to 22nd weekend, a move that could redefine tensions across the entire region.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.